be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Simple, dear, I'll still be here when you're gone. You gather souvenirs, but I will never be your pawn, your pawn, your pawn. My love was in ever again. I lay till it's perfect.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. Welcome, everybody. Sorry about that, folks. OBS is disconnecting my stuff. I'll give it a second. Normal lighting, yes. Yeah, I turned on all the stuff. I actually was in the mood. I mean, like, honestly, I think we have maybe one YouTube video and maybe one story to go over. Yeah. Let's just get started, folks. Let's just do all the things here. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, check out the merch store, Discord, exclamation mark tip, all the stuff. Check out my show on this space every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thank you all. Moanep, welcome. Mouselander, Derry Bennett, today, I'm 30. Today's my birthday. Well, hey, congratulations and happy birthday. Ladybug, welcome. You want to do humanist report? We can do that. I mean, I'm not too partial on that. We can do that. I think it's this one, right? It's the latest one. Michael Hassler, welcome. I'm not 50 yet, but I will be soon. Nice, the big 5-0. Heck yeah. I think this is what you were talking about.
You know, unbeknownst to many of us Americans, there actually are other countries in the world. Shocking, I know. And the reaction from citizens in other countries to the fall of American democracy is fascinating, because unlike us, they actually seem to take what's happening to us seriously, and they seem to worry about our descent into complete totalitarianism. And I want to take some time to share their opinions with you, because even though many Americans might be growing numb to the insanity that's ensuing on a daily basis, individuals with an outside perspective are not growing numb. In fact, they are appalled. For example, a German YouTuber named Feely, who's living in the United States, asked her audience about their thoughts on Trump's...
In fact, I'm pretty sure this is what I'm pretty sure the other chatter, I think it was Blue Brother, I'm pretty sure Blue Brother put, that was the link that we posted the other day. No way! You just about, the 50s are fun, you just about no longer give an F. Oh, I can't wait.
rise in the United States after she got a lot of requests from her audience to talk about what Germans think about the current situation here. Now, to give you some context, this is a YouTuber that typically makes more lighthearted content about cultural differences between Germany and the United States.
Yeah, this is exactly who I was thinking about. It's mostly doing a reaction video to her going through comments from Germans saying this is just like when Hitler took over here. That's
So she's
scary,
not
scary stuff.
necessarily overtly political, but her German audience was not afraid to share their thoughts on Trump. And spoiler alert, they are terrified at what they're witnessing.
The first thing that stood out to me was that out of the over 250 responses, many of which consisted of several paragraphs, by the way, a very large number of them included words like worried, fear, frightened, alarming, scary, or unsettling. One person wrote, "I feel uneasy and slightly frightened. Uneasy when I think about the domestic political consequences of polarization within the US population. Frightened when I..."
And you know what's wild? I actually didn't see these comments. I think you were talking about YouTube censorship and whatnot. What's happening with YouTube? And like you said, the information that people need to see isn't getting seen. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I think Kyle Kalinske made a video on that. I also recommended it. Thank you. I did not see that. Oh, it's probably on the Discord. It's probably on the Discord. He does 2 passes over her video and only touches Hitler comments in the second pass. Gotcha. I'm 41 and I'm there. Nice.
Think about the geopolitical implications. Geopolitically, I'm concerned about
I'm not that far away.
who is positioning themselves as the new world power and what that means for me in Germany and Europe. In terms of US domestic politics, I fear decades of noticeable negative effects on democracy in the US. Could it lead to civil war? Will the US become similar to The Handmaid's Tale under Peter Thiel and J.D. Vance? And I think this is one of the most prevalent themes among the responses I received. A lot of people talked about how democracy in the US...
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of scary, like, being in the US. You know? Being in the US and like kind of living through this era in the country.
seems to be under attack. Trump has only been president for 6 months, but the US is already on the path to becoming a totalitarian state. I have serious doubts as to whether there will even be elections in 3 years, and if so, in what conditions. The treatment of tourists and even green card holders at the borders is unimaginable and frightening. Seeing how Trump is silencing the media...
Yep. I saw this and shared it in the Discord. Stay safe. Yeah, I got it. I'm probably... That's probably like one of the few things we'll have time to go through. Yeah.
Threatening to revoke the citizenship of US citizens, how research is being brought into line, and above all, how people are being arbitrarily arrested on the street just to meet arrest.
Oh, some sideband communication mechanism. It's email or something. Gotcha.
Quotas fills me with great concern. The United States of America is on the path from democracy to an authoritarian state. Project 2025, which I read part of, is being implemented word for word. Many people, especially those who are less well off and women, will lose their freedoms and, in the worst case, their health and their lives. welcome to Gilead. Another reference to Handmaid's Tale. A real separation of powers no longer exists.
True.
People are being thrown into prison or deported without due process.
True.
Even when there's a court order against it.
Yep.
Democracy is truly in danger. Freedom of speech is at risk when Trump sues newspapers, when they're excluded from press conferences and publicly shamed by Trump. It's horrible. The problem is that hate speech and normalization of almost fascist rhetoric is now totally acceptable. In a jubilee.
Yeah, and if I may, it is basically fascist rhetoric. It's not if I may. It's not almost fascist rhetoric. It is fascist rhetoric. Explicitly so.
The interview, one guy was proud to say, "Yes, I am a fascist and I don't care being called a Nazi." And that's all because of Trump's rhetoric.
Yep.
Shocking, terrifying,
Yep.
dumbfounding. And as a German who spent 2 years of history class in school solely on Third Reich and the Second World War, it's also so scarily predictable. The patterns are there.
Her video was fascinating. I would highly encourage you to watch the entire thing, just from start to finish. It was fascinating. But that really shocked me, not because I was necessarily surprised by the responses, but because the level of empathy that her viewers expressed towards Americans was really heartwarming. Even though we did this to ourselves by electing a fascist twice, they still care about what happens to us. They could be like, fuck Americans. This is the bed that they made for themselves, so now they have to lie in it. But they didn't have that response. And I wish that Americans cared about Americans as much as non-Americans seem to care about Americans. But as an American myself, I've seen the cruelty firsthand. I have family members who knowingly voted against their own self-interest to spite people that they view as inferior to them.
Yep.
But that's the thing about fascism. It centers on the elimination of their common enemy, who they view as the biggest threat to society and their own existence.
Western
and
civilization.
Germans understand this better than anybody, and they know how slow and steady the creep of fascism is, and how it happens, and how it really starts by demonizing one group, and then it spreads, and other groups become the target. And on that note, Feely explains how out of the 250 plus responses that she received from her audience, only 5 of them were supportive of Donald Trump. There were people who said, please don't even do this video, Feely, because you live in the United States and it might not be safe for you to speak out right now. And a common theme among her German viewers was just how strikingly similar 2025 America is to Hitler's Germany. I'm not kidding. Like, they all brought this up on their own.
I mean, like, yeah, anyone who has studied, even if you're not German, but anyone who has studied what happened in Nazi Germany would see the similarities. We've talked about this pretty frequently. The similarities. I mean, even back then, even in Trump 1.0, we're out here, suffering from Cassandra syndrome, talking about how Trump was leading us down a authoritarian fascist path. And we were called, we were called they exaggerated. Like they were telling, we were being accused of exaggerating. Oh, Trump is not going to do that. Trump is not a fascist. The Republican Party is not a fascist party. You liberal, leftist, socialist, communist, Democrats, just call everybody you don't like Nazis. Here we are.
Volition, and what they said was chilling.
Do Germans see any parallels to 1930s Germany? And the answer is yes, many Germans definitely do. In this survey alone, I received dozens of answers that mentioned this. Feels like Germany in the 1930s. Nobody is welcome, only if you have money, and the change is so rapid that most people don't understand what's happening.
I think that's what's like so... I think that's what's so frightening about it. I don't know if it's like the same in Nazi Germany, or maybe it is, or maybe it was. But the fact that like people are, they're just not understanding what is happening. Not really. That's what blows my mind, and that is something that I've been thinking about as well. I've mentioned it, it's just, it's amazing how unaware or people are about what is actually happening.
If anyone is wondering how the Nazis were able to come to power in 1933, observe closely. The state is being turned into a fascist idiocracy, controlling large parts of the media, defaming critics, enriching themselves, and cutting people's health care. And the majority of the population seems to be completely okay with it or doesn't dare to disagree. My dad is over 90 years old and tells me that he hears the same kind of rhetoric now from the White House as he heard from the Nazis as a little boy. I'm sad and terrified. I never thought the US would ever head towards a dictatorship, but here we go. When I was younger, I always dreamed of living in the US, or at least saw the US as the ideal country of wealth and living your dream life. However,
That's just capitalism, realism, my friends. That's not all that glitters is gold, folks. Not all that glitters is gold.
now that I'm grown up, it changed to the literal opposite. I definitely don't want to live in the US anymore, or even go there anytime soon. With Trump's election, I see a country drifting further and further in a direction reminiscent of Nazi Germany in the 1930s. Boogeymen are being established, illegal immigrants, and dealt with harshly. Again and again, I see supposed ICE agents brutally arresting people. Thoughts of the Gestapo come to mind.
Yep.
I hope that this madness can still be stopped, but the damage has already been done. Government institutions have been de facto dissolved, important personnel dismissed. Educational institutions are being pressured, and books that are ideologically unacceptable are being banned or removed from classrooms. The US is moving further and further away from its ideal of a free country, and in my eyes, is already an autocracy.
Yeah, I mean, it's... man, we're unbelievably cooked, folks. Not just written similarities, but visual ones as well. 100%. I mean, it's striking. And again, it blows my mind, like how... Generally speaking, the population is just kind of unawares as to what is really happening, right?
As a historian, what's been happening since January sends a shiver down my spine. Harassment, persecution, and deportation of migrants, control of universities, influence over the media. The end of late-night TV? What the frick? It's reminiscent of 1933. With his statement that journalists who criticize him are, quote, enemies of the people, Trump has clearly shown that he thinks like a fascist.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much like one of the telltale signs of authoritarianism. Jesus, I'm tired. When you start talking like that, I mean, like, that's literally word for word what Hitler said. Hitler's, the Lugenpress or whatever. It's the same thing, the fake news. She's right about it all. So far, yeah, 100%. All of this is spot on. Then you're talking about the birthday
Born
party.
in Karlsruhe, was a half-Jewish child Holocaust victim in concentration camps. He lost his entire family on his Jewish side. My mother was a Catholic Swabian girl from Augsburg. So many of the things we see in the US happened in Germany in the 1930s. Everything we hear about, I heard from my Oma, my grandma, already. Her Jewish friends disappearing, the local Metzger, Jewish, being taken by people and deported. Socialist friends sent to Dachau. My husband is Italian from Rome.
That's so scary, man. Like, being someone who disagrees with the fascist regime, being someone of the marginalized group, or several several intersecting marginalized communities. I mean, that is terrifying. The steps are: invoke a terrifying and internal enemy, create secret prisons where torture takes place, develop, and especially extrajudicial prison, Develop a thugcast or paramilitary force unanswerable to citizens. Check. Set up internal surveillance systems. Check. Infiltrate and harass citizens group. Check. Engage in arbitrary detention and release. Check. Target key individuals. Check. Control the press. Check. Cast criticism as espionage and dissent as treason. Basically, right? I mean, basically. This doesn't get pretty. This is all exactly on. This is all on lockstep.
And people in the US always think he's Mexican. He travels everywhere with his US passport so he can show his papers.
So the answer is yes. Germans do see parallels between the United States currently and Nazi Germany. And on that note, she also looked at public opinion polls in Germany to further gauge how Germans feel about Donald Trump. And she shared this poll to show that the overwhelming majority of the German population,
Negative.
like many people in Europe, they have a negative view of Donald Trump. But the percentage of older Germans opposed to Donald Trump is even higher, which makes sense since this is a generation that likely grew up hearing stories from their parents and grandparents about the Third Reich. Although there is a small percentage of Germans who actually views the United States more positively since Trump took office. And that same percentage is the number of people who support Germany's AfD party, which is the modern day Nazi party. Now, there's no evidence that these are the same people. She points this out because we're talking about two different polls.
But let's be honest. Like, who would answer that way? I mean, I'm not saying that every single one of those participants, but like, let's be real. It's pretty. It's one of those causation correlation, but let's be real.
It's an interesting coincidence, and odds are I would guess that the people who are viewing the US more positively now also happen to be sympathetic towards AfD. Furthermore, she talks about German media and says that all media outlets, including conservative populist outlets, they are all critical of Donald Trump, but the couple of exceptions are outlets that explicitly praise AfD. So her viewers aren't wrong to compare Trump's rise to Hitler's.
100%. Yeah, but I'm not saying.
And the fact
right?
that Germany's modern day.
I'm saying that the likelihood that the Venn diagram between the people who support the AfD and the people who would answer a survey in this, the likelihood of that Venn diagram being a circle is probably higher than we'd like to.
Nazi party supports him.
Admit.
It says a lot. We'll put it that way. And I would highly, again, encourage you to watch her full video because it is very, very illuminating. And it's also cathartic to know that people around the world aren't as brain damaged as Americans, in part because they're not subjected to nonstop propaganda every single day. But it's not just Germans.
They also have, despite all the problems that, a lot of these European countries have, and let's be clear, there's a lot of movement on the far right that is, gaining some ground, maybe not as much ground as it is here, but nonetheless, they do have a far-right problem in some of these European countries. But they still have a better socio-economic system than we do. I know that's we're talking about degrees here, but it does matter. It does matter.
Who are alarmed at what's happening.
Having a healthcare system, even if it's not perfect, but having a healthcare system that takes care of people does make a difference in your country. Making sure that your citizens enjoy some type of social safety nets, like maternity leave in some countries and paternity leave in some countries in Europe. It does make a difference.
In the United States, it's almost everyone else in the world with a few exceptions. And we're going to look at polls here in a moment, but first, I want to share how British people reacted when they were asked by a street interviewer whether or not they would move to the United States in 2025. As you're going to see, they did not hesitate to say, no way.
Would you move to America in 2025?
No, never. No.
No interest in moving there. It's a complete hole.
No, because I am transgender.
You'd step over there and you already lose 10 of the rights that you have here.
It's a disgusting place. They've got no NHS whatsoever. It's an absolute dump.
They just think they're the best.
Oof. Yikes. They're wrong because they're personalizing it to being Trump, so when the figurehead gets swapped, they'll change their opinion even though the policy hasn't changed. I mean, maybe like right. Well, I mean, yeah, it's possible given that it's Trump. But Trump is, the figurehead for now. Now we got cows. Meanwhile, Vance is bought by Theo to carry out the same mission. No doubt about it. Seth Evans, welcome. All your healthcare. Yeah.
Like, oh my god, we have freedom, but most other countries have freedom.
I don't like the culture, whether it's tipping, guns, the thoughts on abortion.
If you're dying or having a baby, why you got to pay for it?
There's nothing about America that I think I would prefer over here.
You don't have, like, free speech at all there.
I wouldn't last a minute over there, I don't think. It's definitely stricter over there than it is over here.
Damn. They know that they would immediately lose so much more rights if they
What the F is healthcare?
chose to move to the United States. They know that they could die if they don't have health insurance because that's the way our system is. They have NHS. They have so much more social safety net programs that Americans don't.
That's literally what I just said. Yeah.
Have, so they know that life in the United States is much more difficult than it is for British people. That's not to say that they don't have their problems as well. In fact, they have a lot of problems. British people are currently experiencing some of the things that we are. Their government is supporting Israel's genocide of Palestinians. They're instituting online censorship. Trans rights are being eradicated. But the difference between the UK and the US is that their democratic institutions aren't being undermined. Therefore, all of the bad things that's happening,
at least in the sense, like not being destroyed like they are here, their institutions for now seem to be holding better than ours.
To them can theoretically be undone by a different government. I mean, they can't take back the deaths that their policies have caused. But if Jeremy Corbyn's party, for example, were to be elected, he could theoretically reverse all of the terrible things that Keir Starmer's government is doing. And he could do that through democratic means, which is important. Whereas in the United States, a lot of
the F is healthcare, an oxymoron. In the U.S. healthcare is that thing that leaks your medical information every once in a while, and you get class action mailers in the mail. Yep, healthcare is something I can't have. Exactly. The only reason I have healthcare is because my job, my corporate overlords have deemed it worthy enough to provide me with that I still pay for anyways.
changes that Trump is making are unilateral. And they're irreversible since they're not being done democratically. The only way to undo everything that Trump is doing right now would be for some Democratic president to come along and exercise a greater amount of authoritarian control than he's exercising right now. And that's assuming that we have free and fair elections going forward. But I mean, relying on the benevolence of a different dictator doesn't give me much hope, and it certainly doesn't bode well for democracy, obviously.
Nope, it does not. Trump's name has not been worth mentioning ever because he was so clearly a senile puppet upon entry. The set of handlers around him can work even more easily with a better behaved figurehead. I mean, he's probably not long for this world. He's not the paragon of health, so maybe they will get that in the end. We do have insurance, but that's access, not affordability. Yep. Your money or your life. Kirkenstein's monster, welcome. That is a compelling argument for revolution.
You can't put the cat back in the bag once you take it out, which is why our situation is uniquely bleak. But with regard to that video, it's not just that Brits wouldn't want to move to the United States. People from other countries, they are afraid to travel here altogether. And this is what the overwhelming majority of Feely's viewers said in response to a poll that she posted when she asked if they would travel here. 71% said no, 17% said that they would, but they would be afraid, and just a small percentage said that they wouldn't, that they would. But there's also other international travel subreddits where so many people are asking about whether or not it's safe to travel altogether to the United States right now. For example, this Redditor asked fellow...
The answer is no. Let me emphatically... Let me stress this out. Let me stress this. No. Emphatically. Unequivocally. No. It is not safe to come to this country right now. It doesn't matter if you It doesn't even matter if you're white. Do not come to this country, okay? This country is incredibly hostile to foreigners, especially hostile if you're a person of color and any other marginalized community. So no, dude, it's just not safe. The United States right now, is just not safe. Yeah, Kamala told you, don't be coming. Do not come. There's a good chance Trump had an ischemic attack today. I mean, I saw the pictures. You know, I'm not like a doctor. But man, it's it did not look good. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I mean, the pictures, man. Whether you call it revolution or not, whatever means are necessary to get that end look, to get the end that looks something like a different constitution, not through established amendment process, new government. Yeah, like, we definitely, like, if we make it through this, okay, like, there has to be, if we make it through this, like, there has to be some kind of, I don't know, like, upending of what of the country to the point where we can try to like fix everything from the bottom up. It's yeah. Come on, more prescient than we realize. So life, and now Trump is going to use Kirk to go after leftists like they're migrants. Oh, 100%. That's coming. That's definitely coming. In fact, if you watched his supposedly people said it was AI. I don't know. It could have been AI. It did look a little weird to me. It did sound a little weird to me. But in any case, that Oval Office address, that was pretty chilling. It was pretty chilling. It was a message, and the way I read it, was essentially a call to arms. Okay, a call to arms against the left. Because of course, the left is a bunch of radical terrorist group that needs to be dealt with. I mean, that's the obviously he didn't say that word for word. My point is that the perception that he gives is that he believes that the radical left Democrats, socialist commies are, to blame for all of this political violence, and they need to be dealt with. Magnus, thank you for the follow and welcome. Like, even just imagine U.S. with a single change of no Senate. I know. Let alone like proportional representation for the reigning unicameral legislator. I mean, like, I was thinking more of like a way of if we can't like do away with like the Senate as an institution, what I would say is like, well, instead of like having the Senate as a separate undemocratic like institution by itself, just like incorporate it into the House, right? And that's it. No, I agree. So much more we could explore in all that bulk of existing established politics, Republican Democrats set against, to make us waste our energy and time on anything but exploring and realizing those possibilities. Yeah, the Supreme Court too. Radical leftists demanding health care. Very radical. Trans have been the focus more than leftists more broadly. I think like I'm just speaking like specifically on what he was addressing. I did see that like there was a lot of far right accounts trying to like blame they were saying it was like a trans person that was that did the incident on Charlie Kirk when we had absolutely no information and they were already trying to blame a trans person. In fact, in that very same event, Charlie Kirk was trying to like paint this picture. Was trying to paint this picture like that trans people are mass, mass shooters. I completely see that, Nadia. Bella Lugrisi, welcome it. Have you heard about the Kirk murder? Yes. Right now, in the wake, Kirk was being subject to his absurd moral equivocation to those advocating for universal healthcare are somehow in any way comparable to those advocating literally and getting it deportations without due process. Yep. Elwa, a huge problem is 3 SCOTUS members want it like the original constitution where no vote was required by senators or president by the people. Yep. It was literally his last words, stoking violence in his base. Yep. What about the Danish suing the Trump administration? I had no idea. They even said Kirk was unalive during a trans question when it was actually a gun violence question. Yeah, it was like right before he was talking about the gun question, like Kirk said, like, this is how the exchange was, as far as I can remember based on the clip. Kirk was saying they were talking about mass shootings, and Kirk was saying, "Oh, well, how many trans shooters do you think there are?" or something like that. And that's where the exchange back and forth it came by. I just wonder how many people in the U.S. haven't heard about the Kirk killing. Yep.
UK tourists if they've had any problems with ICE when they've traveled to the United States after seeing articles about European tourists getting detained. This Australian Redditor asked if it's safe for his parents to travel to the US, prefacing the question by saying that his parents are Caucasian and have no visible tattoos, knowing that they could be targeted if they're not white and have tattoos. This German Redditor asked others about whether or not they should go ahead with the trip that they were planning to the US since they're now feeling pretty uneasy about what's happening. And someone in the Ask Ireland subreddit asked for others' experiences while traveling to the US and if they had any problems. But keep in mind that these are just a couple of examples. There were many, many more that I didn't share with you, and the answers that they got really varied depending on the subreddit. Some people said that they traveled to the US and didn't have a problem, so they said, the person asking the question would probably be fine. Others shared how they were actually interrogated by ICE and were terrified. Others said don't come if you have a criminal record, or recommended canceling their trips if they were able to and still get their money back.
Yeah, just don't come. Look, anyways, don't come. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, even if you wasted a plane ticket and it's a big hassle. Like, seriously, being stopped and being detained and being harassed by ICE for hours or maybe locked up for days. Okay, like that. Was it a German national? I mean, it happened to a few. Like, there was a Canadian person there was a Canadian person that was stuck here for like a week in detention or more. It's just not worth it. Like, seriously, it's not worth it.
Concerns about them looking through their phone and if they see anti-Trump sentiment and how that's going to bode well for them entering the United States that they talked about. And, it's totally possible that if you were to travel to the US right now, you'd be fine. Like, you'll notice that things are different, obviously, but it'd be similar if you went to other authoritarian countries like Turkey or Hungary. But one thing that's clear is that not enough people think that it's worth it to even risk it at this point. Hence why tourism is down across the country, and it's particularly hurting communities whose economies rely on international tourism, like Las Vegas, for example. And this mini documentary from the Associated Press explains how the fall in international tourism has been devastating for this city. And that's just one of many U.S. cities experiencing the same thing. And the fall of international tourism offers us a glimpse into how the rest
Irish, German, Australian, and more.
of
Yep,
the world
several.
is feeling.
Yep. All been harassed, stopped, detained, and put, in my view, illegally detained and put in concentration camps, in these ICE detention centers, for days or sometimes even weeks.
About the United States right now. They really don't want anything to do with us, either because they don't want to support our policies by giving us their money, or because they feel afraid that they're going to be targeted if they come to this country. And a Pew survey finds that confidence in the United States has fallen off of a cliff since Donald Trump took power. When it comes to whether or not respondents have confidence in Donald Trump to do the right thing regarding world affairs, the overwhelming majority of people in most countries said that they have no confidence in Donald Trump, excluding a few notable exceptions like Hungary, India, Israel, Nigeria, and Kenya. In fact, U.S. favorability has declined in most countries, with the biggest swings coming from countries like Mexico, our neighbor, for obvious reasons. But in countries like Israel and Turkey, sentiment towards the United States has actually improved. In other words, in other countries with fascist and or genocidal leaders, India, Turkey, Israel, and Hungary, they all support fascism here in the United States too. Whereas everyone else in countries that haven't completely succumbed to fascism, they think we're fucking insane. Rightfully so. So as an American, it is...
I mean, like, that kind of tells you everything you need to know. I mean, like, that's a wrap for me. Mayhem Hippie, welcome. That's an effing list, indeed.
Fascinating to see how other people react to the sheer lunacy of the United States. It honestly makes me feel more insane, since every other person in the United States seemingly has turned into an ape-brained MAGA dipshit, and it really has created this cynicism in me that I never had before. So to have this validation from other people, and to know that, like, most people are good, and...
Yeah, I kind of feel that. Like, I feel like sometimes, I sometimes feel like I'm the crazy person, you know? I don't think Trump realizes he's doing isolationism. I think he's just a useful idiot. That's possible. I don't know to the extent of what this guy knows and doesn't know what he's doing. Regardless, the fact of the matter is he knows. I mean, I know that he's definitely evil, and I know that he likes hurting people. We can go back and forth about whether or not, to the extent that he knows what he's doing. I don't know. It's possible. He is indeed a moron at the end of the day too. They use regular jails most of the time versus ICE-specific facilities. I mean, the ICE-specific facilities are worse, aren't they? I mean, sheesh. Yeah, the ICE detention centers are worse, I would imagine. I think there's a symptom of a society of systemic gaslighting. Yep.
My perception is just like unique to the United States.
I thought they were just being held in like the ICE detention centers, but I guess not. I may be wrong on that. Like, the gaslighting is baked in and relentless of necessity to cloud the majority of us who an expensive dictatorship of capital prevails. Yeah. It's. I mean, you kind of need that, right? You kind of need that. They must keep most people deluded about the reality of inequality and whose benefit. Yeah, it's exactly a tenet of fascism. This warping of reality. I mean, freedom is slavery or something, right? War is peace. You warp reality. You warp words, and the meaning of words, right? Like, the radical left is both a bunch of crazy communists, but actually they're the real fascists too. Like, you see what I mean? Like, yeah, it's an important tenet of fascism to be able to kind of consistently be able to do that. Trump makes Forrest Gump look like Stephen Hawking. There's no there. He just pinballs off whatever his last heard and confabulates the whole time. I mean, I'm not surprised that he kind of does that to an extent too, especially given how old he is and just how cognitively he's not there. But I mean, I believe that while he may be incompetent, while he may be a bumbling idiot, he's evil. Like that guy has been a piece of work since the beginning. That guy has been a piece of work for decades, even before he even thought about politics. So I mean, like, yeah, he's definitely an evil person with a lot of power. And incidentally, the real evil ghoul people around him too, who he surrounded himself with, are just kind of enacting that, and he's just kind of, the vehicle in which all of this is happening. He's the vehicle that everybody's driving to fascist land. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just the communists, though. Don't you know the fascist interpretation of 1984? Works best if all the sheep aren't well educated, too. Yep. That's very, very important. Education is not important. These woke academics don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. I'm just me, welcome. With parents like that, he had no chance of turning out any other way. True.
It's good to get that validation, right? Although I hope that international viewers
Trump,
who happen to stumble across this video, they take what happens here as a warning sign. And I say this because fascism isn't unique to the United States, obviously. Nope. This is a global movement that materialized in direct response to the failure of capitalism around the world. And a lot of countries who are looking at the United States in horror right now have burgeoning fascist movements of their own.
Yep,
so I hope that they learn from our mistakes here and do everything that they possibly can to stop this virus before it infects their countries too. Because it might already be too late for us here in the United States, but it's not too late for everybody else in the world. And as bleak as the situation is here in the United States, my hope is that it'll at least serve as a much needed wake-up call to everybody else in the world. Don't let this happen in your countries too, please.
I agree. He was evil during his actual life, but he's been effectively brain dead before his first turn. Well, I mean, not brain dead enough to make sure that all the ghouls that he had around from his first term to his second term were around as well. So, I mean, he had enough sense to put those, to put the worst of the worst. It took, or maybe it's just that easy to curry favor with him. I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter, right? I guess it doesn't matter because the outcome is the same. We're screwed. Whether he's there, whether he's not there, whether it's really, Trump making these decisions or whether it's not, at the end of the day, the outcome is the same, right? Like these ghouls, whether it's Trump or whether it's the people around him, whether it's all these oligarchs, like, calling the shots, which undoubtedly there's definitely something. So there's definitely an aspect of that. He was way more cognizant in his first term, and saying otherwise minimizes why he won in the first place. Well, I mean, like, kind of. I kind of see him the same way. I kind of see him the same way. Like he's until recently, he's felt like he's had the same kind of vibes. Until recently, because man, those pictures, the fact that he was just gone from the face of the earth for like a week. I mean, like, Jesus Christ. But yeah, for me, I see him like almost the same. But yeah, to me, at the end of the day, it kind of doesn't matter. Like we could, I guess there's like, I guess there's like, we can go back and forth as to like how, like the nuances between like what happened. But honestly, like at the end of the day, the decisions and the outcomes are being done. Whether it's Trump, whether it's whether it's Trump, whether it's the auto pen that Trump used or not, whether it's Steve Miller's next ghoulish plan. It doesn't matter, I guess. At the end of the day, it's a fascist regime. That's where Trump is being used as the vehicle to drive ourselves to fascist land. You know, that's the way I see it. It just goes to show how our whole society is run on the honor system, and it just takes one guy to tear it down. Yep, it just takes one guy to lead the party to say, like, hey, you know what? What if we don't play by the rules anymore? What if we stop playing by the rules? What if the rules were nonsense? Hey, Dan anonymously. And now I can't see chat. What's going on here? The only thing creepier than Trump's expression was Melania's expression. I mean, seriously. He looked really bad. Like that. I don't know how much we can. I don't think we can hide that one. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. But yeah, like it's that is unmistakable. Like his like lopsided, like that, you can't fake that. Like that's a bit of a tell to me. I mean, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know exactly what Trump is going through. Yeah, his face. Yeah, like that you cannot, like that like droop is very, 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 very how do I say, distinguished, or very, it's like you can't, like that is very, very unique to certain medical conditions. You can't, you can't fake that, like that. Yeah. Yeah, his face, his cankles, the fact that it's clear that he's obviously having some kind of, IV for medicine or whatever. I mean, like, yeah, distinctive. That's the word, distinctive. Like that. Thank you. Thank you. Distinctive. Like, nah, you could have all the Novocaine in the world. Look, I've had multiple dental procedures. Mrs. Truth has had dental procedures. I've had friends. Like, no, but no, it just doesn't, no, like Feinsteining him? Oh, okay. Look like body double Melania. It's like a stroke or Bell's palsy. Yeah, exactly. Like, it's very distinctive. Thank you. I was, like, missing the word here. It's very distinctive. Like, you can't, it's just very, very distinctive. I forget the video, but someone saying he may have had a stroke. I mean, it's quite possibly. My English major degree is finally paying off. Nice. Thank you, John Lithium. I was like, what is that word? It's like not, I don't want to say it's unique, but it's distinct. Had this happen because the dentist put Novocaine into the nerve. Oof. They on Trump's hand, the State of the Union. Trump's character does say looks 20 years younger, no bruising. Yeah. I mean, I think that was a bit weird. I'm not gonna give this a platform. Anyone seen the school shooting yesterday or hear a bunch of college campuses being locked down? Yep, we actually have that on standby right here. The whole side of my head was numb for 12 hours. Yeesh. I'm more concerned. I'm more concerned about the aftermath. I'm not really concerned about the actual incident. I'm more concerned about how the right wing is foaming at the mouth. Is foaming at the mouth for violence. And this has kind of become the new clarion call. I know that the right is like pretty much like hell bent on violence regardless. I'm just saying that they're using this as a clarion call to kind of galvanize and publicly be able to say, like, this is why we need to redacted. Does that make sense? Nancy Mace immediately blamed the Democrats. Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, they're using this as a clarion call to then say publicly to then say publicly, like, this is why we need to do this. Just this morning, what's going on with this?
During a 9/11 event on Thursday morning, President
This
Donald
is it.
J. Trump.
Do we have a picture?
Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, oof. You can't. I'm sorry, but like, this is bad. This is bad. Look at that. It's very, very pronounced. Very pronounced. Is this a funeral for Trump? Probably. Is that Melania? She looks different. This is body double Melania. I mean, like, that is pronounced. Like, that is unmistakable. It does make sense. Let's discuss that. The Kirk topic has got me tired AF of people. Oh, I agree. Like, I'm not discussing the actual incident. I already said what I had to say yesterday. I already said what I had to say yesterday, but yeah, no. What I'm interested in talking about is the fact that they're going to use this as a launch point, or as a excuse to really, like, call for action, call for violence. Maybe it's the beginning of a stroke. Who knows? Or maybe is it possible? Again, I'm not, like, very familiar. I'm not very familiar with symptoms of strokes or other, like, perhaps related medical conditions, but, like, does that happen after the stroke or before the stroke? Why would you say rest in piss? You mean rest in piss? Fuck that guy. Like, well, who cares? Look, the guy himself said that empathy is weakness. So I'm just honoring Charlie Kirk. I'm just honoring Charlie Kirk by not having any empathy for him. Transient ischemic attack are very common before major strokes. May he rest in peace. No, he was a piece of shit. Nobody should care. Who cares? This made me sad. He looks like a not sad old man. I have to remind myself who he is. It's still kind of sad he chose this path. Yeah, no tolerance for the intolerant. Like, Charlie Kirk would 100%, he was never proven to be a racist. Okay, like, that's just rage baiting. Get out of here. Like, what? He was never proven to be a racist. Charlie Kirk's entire career was built on racism and bigotry and hatred, all for the purposes of establishing a worldview where he would have, or his ideology would have control and oppress people through a theocratic fascist institution. That's Charlie Kirk. Like, and that's just rage baiting. I'm sorry. We're not going to have this conversation. We're not going to have this conversation. Yeah, dude was definitely more than a racist. But anyways, yeah, to say, like, he wasn't a proven racist, like, that's just rage baiting. I'm not doing this today. Like, honestly, Charlie Kirk's entire career was built on a racist lie. Go look it up. Being afraid to fly for your pilot's back is totally not racist. And by the way, that is some of the more mild stuff he said. That is some of the more mild stuff that he said. Yep, he said it publicly. This is kind of like where we're going at. The right in America has responded with blood-curdling threats of retribution. Donald Trump blamed the radical left for the shooting and promised a crackdown, saying its rhetoric is directly responsible for terrorism that we're seeing in the country today. Like, hey, what if the guy is caught, right? Like, and what if he's like, I don't know, a groiper? What if the guy caught was a groiper? Because I'm betting money that it is. I'm betting money that this is some kind of political fallout from TPUSA and like the groipers that's been happening since like, I don't know, like 8 years ago. Yeah, the dude that the FBI released 100% looks like a groiper. Like, and the fact that he used like a Mauser, which is a German rifle, that was popularized, or like it came into provenance in like World War II. It just seems a little bit too on the nose. I don't know if Laura Loomer had anything to do with it. I'm talking about like just like this far right groiper group that has had this fight with TPUSA for quite a while now. In fact, I even made a video about it and how this fight. In fact, look, this is how wild all of this is coming like full circle. In fact, look, I'll even bring it up. I don't know what a groiper is. It's Nick Fuentes' people. He had an American flag on his shirt. Yep. Not all of the groipers are Nazis, but they're all basically fascist. Yeah, I don't think this is I don't think this was like a leftist, honestly. That's what makes this all like so much more dangerous. I genuinely don't know. But if I had to make an educated guess, I don't believe that this was a leftist. I don't believe that this was a leftist, and I don't believe I would bet money that this was probably some kind of fallout from the Groiper Civil War that's been brewing since like 2017. In fact, I even made a video about this. You know what? Instead of like, okay, this is the important part of the article, because this was part of Trump's like statements in the Oval Office address that I really wanted to kind of go over, which was basically him putting the target on the quote radical left, meaning like us, right? Promising a crackdown and saying this rhetoric is directly responsible for terrorism that we're seeing in the country today. Which is also to add on it, it's kind of funny how all of a sudden the right understands that perhaps words and ideology have real world consequences. But when we were talking about stochastic terrorism, they said that doesn't exist. Kyle thinks this is a professional job. I mean, probably. Mayhem Hippie subscribing for 17 months. Can you believe that? My goodness. Yeah, I'll definitely have to check out the video later. No, they're projecting it 100%. Like, they all of a sudden understand the concept of stochastic terrorism, right? All of a sudden, they understand the consequences of perhaps words, right? Obviously, they're twisting it. They're twisting it. But my point is that, you know? Apparently, the first suspect, the old man, may have been a distraction so a sniper could get away. Maybe. I have no idea. The reality is, like, I have no idea. Is it possible? Yes. Is the guy that the FBI putting on the official website the guy? Who knows? It's possible. It seems like it seems that likely it does kind of match the description, but honestly, the reality is we just don't know. There's a lot of new information. I think somebody asked me about the engravings on the bullets earlier. Sorry, like, I'm not keeping up with chat 100%. There's been issues with this Restream bot. But in any case, I saw somebody ask earlier about the engravements on the actual ammunition. That was proven to be false, or at least unconfirmed. And unfortunately, the Wall Street Journal jumped the shark and published that that without confirming that. So it was never confirmed. Like, they just published that out. And of course, you know, it's the Wall Street Journal, so I guess it's not much to be expected there from journalism. The engraving stuff was made up. Yeah, it was just never proven. It was just never proven. That was a complete fabrication. And the fact that the Wall Street Journal published that without confirming that is wild. Like, first of all, anyone who had like 5 seconds to think about it would question that immediately. Steven Crowder released it first. Oh, then it makes sense why. It makes sense why this was all nonsense. I don't know if that's true, but I saw that he was like probably getting himself into some hot water with the ATF now. I don't know. But yeah, this engraving stuff. Like, if you thought about it for 5 seconds, you would know that like something like doesn't feel right. They were saying for the person who asked. The engraving said something about trans ideology. So right there, boom, that should click a red flag, because who talks like that? Right wingers do. Nobody says trans ideology. Being a trans person is being a human being. Being trans is not an ideology. Okay? So that immediately should click. Like, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Engravings on trans ideology? Like, be for real. Like, nobody talks like that, okay? Nobody talks like that except the right wing. Yeah, it was an ATF, supposedly an ATF source. And now it seems that Crowder is possibly in some hot water for, you know, opening his mouth. So yeah, I mean, so yeah, the whole like engraving thing was nonsense. Anyone who thought about it for like 5 seconds would question it immediately. Like, the moment I saw in the Wall Street Journal that the bullets engraving said something about trans ideology, I was like, nope, nah, this smells fishy. They probably gave that info to Crowder. I mean, come on, probably. They probably did that on purpose, maybe. Yeah, but also, like, nobody talks like that. Nobody says trans ideology. Only the right wing talks like that, right? Like, no, like, you know, nobody in normal speak, unless you're a right winger, talks about trans ideology, because that's not a thing. That's not a thing. There's no such thing as trans ideology. Nah, that's a bit. That's no. Nope. Stop it. We're not doing this again, and we're so close to finishing the stream. Anyways. Let's just watch old me. Or maybe I should say young me. We're gonna make it to the end without incident, people. No, we had a half incident. We had a half incident. Look at that, if you can even call it that. To be or yeah,
the
old
right
young
seems
me
to have found itself in the middle of a civil war or infighting, if you can even call it that. To be honest, I think that this is more serious than it's being billed, and it's not getting the attention it deserves on our side.
What year was this, folks? What year is this? I need a timestamp on this. This was 5 years ago, folks. Young A Difficult Truth. Who'd that youngster? I don't know, but he aged. He aged. This was only 5 years ago, folks. Look at that. Look at that. That's me 5 years ago, and this is me now. Look at that. It's impressive, honestly. The timeline has not been nice. We're tired AF. Yep. So innocent, so young. The Prophet. Look, check it out, folks.
Yes, some people have talked about it, and some have mentioned it in passing, but we should really be paying attention to what's happening here, because at the end of the day, it's gonna end up affecting us one way or another.
Damn. Huh. That's wild. That's wild I said that 5 years ago. I've seen you without the hat. You're a handsome fella. Well, thank you. Can I have his children? Wait, I'm straight.
To give you the quick TLDR, or the oranges of the story, a neo-Nazi by the name of Nick Fuentes has gotten into a bit of a spat with ultra-conservative figure Charlie Kirk. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but this whole thing started when Nick Fuentes got banned from an event that Charlie Kirk was in, blamed Charlie Kirk for it, and as a result of that, Nick Fuentes' followers have started showing up at these Turning Point USA events, taking over the Q&A sessions with pre-prepared questions they got from the Daily Stormer, a Nazi website.
Yeah, like unironically, that's what they were doing, because the Grippers are a bunch of Nazis, mostly.
Or simply heckling the speakers. One of the latest victims was Donald Trump Jr., who was funny enough there promoting his book Triggered. As soon as there was no Q&A session because of the recent incidents, the crowd immediately started heckling him, booing him, and chanting Q&A. Now, these Fuentes supporters have claimed that they, in fact, are the real conservatives, and that people like ultra-conservative figure Charlie Kirk are not conservative enough and even damaging the movement, and maybe people like Nick Fuentes should be in charge of the conservative movement. This is disturbing for a number of reasons. Remember, these are supporters of a neo-Nazi. The conservative movement is in danger of being taken over by literal neo-Nazis, or
spoiler
at the very
alert,
least, to be charitable, far-right individuals with fascistic tendencies. And this is not hyperbole, this is literally what they are. And unfortunately, the defense the other conservatives have mounted are feeble and weak, because in reality, these people are only taking their political ideology to its natural conclusion. People like Ben Shapiro and Charlie Kirk were going around making speeches in an attempt to distance themselves from the alt-right without even being able to call them what they are, isn't working because they have no leg to stand on. And what's worse is that they're losing. Nick Fuentes is supposedly allowed to speak again at some of these conservative events. If we take a look at history and see how fascism came to be in Italy in the 1920s, then we start to see a similar pattern.
Spoiler alert.
Fascist groups infiltrated the conservative movement and strong-armed their way to power. Now, I'm not saying 100% that this is going to happen.
It did.
But the conservative movement is in real danger of being taken over by these kind of people in 2019.
It did.
And that people should be really paying attention to this. But what do I know? Guess it can't happen here, right?
Ah! The Cassandra syndrome, folks, I'm telling you. The pop-ins, that was fun. I had to bring in, I had to do something. I had to do something, man, because this shit's dark, folks. Shit's dark, let me tell you. Shit's dark. Please note the, yes. This one's pretty bad. The conservatives movement was already a bunch of Nazis in 1934. Yep, I mean basically, like from what I understand, what happened is like a lot of these business conservatives, who tried to present themselves as some kind of moderate, eventually ended up bending the knee to the Nazis. For fear of a socialist revolution. That's literally what it was. That's why we always say capital ends up bowing down to fascism. Yeah, I'm back. Are you a wizard? No, I've just, like Heat said, I've just been doing this a long time. The American conservative movement, that was already a bunch of Nazis in 34. Yeah, there was literally an American Nazi party. There was literally an American Nazi party. Woody Guthrie wrote a song about it. Lindbergh, about Charlie Lindbergh. Yep. 1934 was a coup attempt against FDR that recruited General Smedley to be its figurehead, officially known as 1934 business plot. Yep. Yeah, and Charlie Lindbergh, the American Fascist Party, or the America First movement, that's not new. That came about around those times. Woody Guthrie made a song about it. He says, they talk about America first, but what they mean is America next. The Hairy Wizard. Yeah. A Nazi rally took place in Madison Square Garden, organized by a German-American Bund. More than 20,000 people attended, and Fritz Julius Kahn was the featured speaker. The Bund billed the event, which took place 2 days before George Washington's birthday, as a pro-Americanism rally. The stage event featured a huge portrait of Washington with swastikas on each side. Deutsche Amerikaner's Freundschaft, the band, was named after a Nazi organization in the U.S. from around that time. Huh. Yeah, I didn't know that last part. But yeah, I exactly what I was referring to, Bella Lugrisi. Yep. Yep. Like they had a whole thing here in the 30s and 20s. Just like in Germany. So a day after, chilling reminder, multiple historically black universities under lockdown after receiving bomb threats. Potential threats, sorry. That the bomb threat was I'm getting my my incidents confused. The bomb threat was at was in Washington. There was like a threat in the Washington D.C. That happened earlier today. Multiple historically black colleges, or HBCUs, are under lockdown after receiving potential threats on Thursday, including Alabama State University, Virginia State University, Hampton University in Virginia, South University in Louisiana, and Clark Atlanta University in Georgia. Spelman College, located near Clark Atlanta University, also implemented shelter-in-place protocols as precautionary measure due to the proximity. The FBI released a statement regarding the threats on Thursday, saying federal investigators are aware of the hoax threats calls to a number of historically black institutions. The FBI takes these threats very seriously and puts innocent people at risk. The agency said, adding that there's currently no information to indicate a credible threat. Regardless, I mean, like this is a unfortunately a thing that we're going to have to be familiar with, become familiar with as a regular occurrence. In my opinion, I think that violence is not going to go away. It's probably going to increase. The temperature, so to speak, is not going down. The word swastika is not the real word. Huh. Well, that I didn't know. I'm learning. I'm learning stuff from y'all every day. I didn't know that was not the word. Heikenkreuz, which is directly translates as hook cross, as a stylized Christian cross, not any sort of nod to Eastern mysticism or any paganistic comet symbol. Well, I did not know that. Look at that. Heikenkreuz? Something cross, right? Hook cross, I guess. Yeah. Huh. Well, the more you know, folks. Because I did not know that. That's that I'm learning something new every day. If you're not anti-fascist, what would you be? Hakenkreuz. Well, the more you know. Huge shout out to Nadia and her nuggets of truth. Because I didn't know these things. Every time, I swear, I come away with at least like one or two things that I learn. So I thank you for that. Mandarin, Zulu, and Latin. No time for Z German. Time is all we have. Time is all we have. Speaking of which, they were really fundies, more modernist, but still in favor of the Christian religion. Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. In an ironic twist, I'm out of time. I gotta get out of here, folks. I studied German for 4 years at uni, and I'm living in Germany now. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Thank you, Mayhem Hippie, for the subscription. Thank you to all the new follows. I appreciate all of you hanging out here during these times. I'm gonna call it right here. I think Monday probably there's not gonna be a stream. We're gonna take a day break. How about that? We're gonna take a day break, and we'll be back on Tuesday for the This Space show, and then resume our normal schedule from here on out. I'm thinking of just taking the Monday off, get some stuff done, just step away for a bit, at least one day. And hopefully in these next couple of days disconnect for a bit, because let me be honest, folks, it's not great. It's not great out there. You probably need a break for a bit. Just a bit, you know. At least the next couple of days, because the stuff that's been happening in this country is truly worrying. Like, I mean, more than normal. And I don't see how things get better anytime soon. But at least they will be, I know, at some point. But yeah. Should take tomorrow off if you're getting Borderlands 4. I didn't know it released already. I'm clipping the babyface ADT. That's funny because it's not even that long ago. It was like 5 years. Even before uni, I picked up quite a bit from textbooks without classes long before starting class at uni. Nice. Empathy is the only way forward. Oh, 100%. Like, I'm definitely, I'm a big fan. Big fan of empathy. I'm canceling my YouTube membership. Look, here's the deal, Snow Life. Get me to 500. Get me 500 subs, okay? Which in this case, it's like, what, 97 subscribers, and then you can get a membership and then cancel that membership. A lot of streamers are taking a break and leaving the scene. Oh, I'm not leaving the scene. I'm not going nowhere. I'm just taking Monday off, that's all. Ghost of Yotai? Yeah, yes. This year is definitely packed. At least for us gamers, yes. Good to know. Yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. Don't you need 600 to get memberships? I honestly don't know. I think 500. I think 500 gets you the ability to do some stuff. But 1,000 is like the big, like, you know, you're the big tier, right? I could be wrong. I don't know. I doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. October's gonna be lit for gamers. Actually, don't blame streamers who need a break from all this insanity. Oh, 100%. Me neither. Me neither. Even if they knew Cyrillic alphabet, they would have to know German as well to read the stuff I wrote in that code, which made it a great deal safer. Huh. More you know. We got Silk Song. I haven't even gotten to it. I bought Silk Song because it was $20, and I haven't even gotten to it. Not yet. I'm still fumbling my way through to the first one. I started playing the first Hollow Knight, but yeah, I'm fumbling my way through. Watch hours does something too. Yes, I think you need to have specific number of watch hours. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. Thank you all for being here. Please, folks, the message. Okay, gotcha. I thought you were talking about something else that I may have missed. Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying, Nadia. I was confused there for a bit. I thought I missed something because again, Restream is not working properly. So some messages may come in at different times. Interesting show and great stream. Thank you. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. Please, folks, like I said yesterday, if you come away with anything, please take care of each other. Please close ranks. Please protect each other, protect your community, and please keep each other safe. Please keep any marginalized community members safe to the best of your ability. Keep yourself safe. Do everything that you need to do for yourselves, folks, and keep and keep folks safe, because that's really the big takeaway from this. Oh, I completely agree. Nadia, I completely agree. Hollow Knight gets hard at some point. Sounds it sounds triple X rated. No, it's a difficult game. It's a difficult game. I just found the first boss and I got completely bodied within like 5 seconds. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need to put this down for a second, figure this out. Hollow Knight is not meant to be easy. Miss Pac-Man was a big hit and the girls were all about it back then. Nice. Alright, folks, I gotta get out of here. Thank you all for being here. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love y'all and I hope to see you guys in the next one. See ya. Bye-bye. Well, that was really strange. Alright, folks, we're heading out in... Wait, it's not even letting me. That something's going really weird. My computer did something very, very strange. It says we're raiding? Okay. Alright, here we go. I see it. It's taking a while? Yeah, I see it. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.